Thank you for downloading this podcast from the British Theatre Guide. For more information about British Theatre Guide, please visit britishtheatreguide.info.
I'm Steve Orme, the Midlands editor of the British Theatre Guide. Most theatres are gearing up for Christmas, and Lichfield Garrick is no exception. On the main stage, Dick Whittington is the attraction, while in the studio there's a show for adults which is becoming a bit of a tradition. New old friends will be presenting Crimes of the Christmas Pudding. It follows on from similar shows Crimes Against Christmas, Crimes on the Christmas Express and Crimes Under the Sun. In a moment we'll be hearing from one of the actors, Jill Myers, who plays a sort of female version of Agatha Christie's great detective, Hercule Poirot. But first, Nell Crouch explains how she got the job of directing Crimes of the Christmas Pudding.
I work for a cycling Shakespeare company called the Handlebars, and another director who worked for that company, James Farrell, worked for New Old Friends on their previous show, which was Crimes Under the Sun, which also features Jill, and he was very kind to recommend me to the company, so we had a few chats, and yeah, here I am.
So explain what Crimes of the Christmas Pudding is all about.
Crimes of the Christmas Pudding is about a Belgian lady super detective called Artemis Arinae, who is loosely modelled on Hercule Poirot, who is sent to a country house to investigate the theft of a Russian prince's priceless ring. And while there, she meets all sorts of ridiculous characters, and I'll leave it open as to whether she solves the mystery, but I think you can probably guess what happens in the end.
The inspiration for this is said to be Agatha Christie, Gosford Park and classic Ealing comedies. So how does that come out in the script?
It's full of lots of little Poirot references, and a few that lots of us in the cast aren't sort of big Poirot connoisseurs, but we know that lots of the audiences that come see these shows are. So there's been a few having to backtrack and explain some of the references, like her immaculate toilet, which is a Poirotism that sparked a bit of confusion when it was first introduced in rehearsals. So there's a bit of that. In terms of Gosford Park, it's that sort of sumptuous, which we're trying to conjure, a sumptuous country house on a teeny tiny budget. So it's trying to get across the idea of this sort of cavernous house with all the servants working below stairs and then all the sort of awful people of the aristocracy above stairs mingling together. And in Ealing comedies, it's a bit bawdy. It can be a bit bawdy. Laura, who's in our cast, has described herself as a walking seaside postcard, and I think she's really brought that to rehearsals. Yeah.
So how do you go about directing something like this?
I think, first of all, you make sure that you've got some really great clowns in the cast, and I think we're really lucky that we've got a wonderful cast, and they're all bringing sort of their own personal clowning brand to each part. And then a lot of it, when you're doing, is sort of multi-rolling. So I think there are 12 characters in this, played by 4 actors. But Jill only plays one actor, one character. One actor plays Arinae, and then all the other characters are played by just the other 3. So a lot of it's about finding those really defined characters, and then a lot of the comedy ends up coming from that. Yeah, so start off with the characters and go from there.
Now, the Crimes of series has been very popular, particularly here in Lichfield. Yeah. So are you under any pressure to deliver a production as good as the previous ones? Yeah,
there's a little bit of pressure, not going to lie. But it's also really lovely because the audiences are familiar with the material, and although I've only seen Crimes Under the Sun, which hasn't been a Christmas show, as it was a touring show this last year, and I'm learning that there are lots of little in-jokes that we can put in that audiences that have come in past years will get, and it's kind of nice that we're putting things in the show that we don't get it, but it feels like it's a little present that we can open when the audience are actually in. And so it's really nice to have a loyal audience like that. It's similar to work with the Handlebars, who have done lots and lots of shows for many years now, and lots of the audience are repeat viewers, so they kind of know what to expect, and that's always a really tasty thing to play with.
So is that the main reason why they keep coming back, because they know what to expect and they like it?
The audiences, I don't know. You have to ask them, I suppose. I guess as well it's a romp, and it's just a little bit different from the other Christmas offerings at the Garrick. So we saw the dress rehearsal of the panto, earlier this week, which was great fun. Go and see that. And then we've got an early years show as well, sharing the space with us. And our show is the sort of adult alternative. So it does offer something a bit different to a lot of Christmas shows, which are often quite family oriented. This one is aimed a little bit more at an adult or older family audience.
So do you prefer doing something like this to the traditional panto?
Aha! I can't say I've ever done traditional panto. I would love to do a panto one day. That'd be really fun. This is more sort of where I come from, this style of theatre. But again, I'm going to keep talking about Laura. Laura in our cast is a panto maniac. She goes, I think she was saying today, she sees 6 or 7 pantos every year. And she was in the panto at Salisbury Playhouse last year. So I'm just keep wondering how much panto has crept into our show. Yeah, I'd love to work on a panto, but this is very different.
You seem as though you've got a lot of experience of comedy, though, in all its various forms.
Yeah, I went to Bristol University, and when I was there I produced and then performed with the Bristol Reunions, which is sort of Bristol's answer to Footlights and such, but we sell less tickets. And then, yeah, I've been lucky to get on board with the Handlebars, and that's all about, we made Romeo and Juliet into a comedy. So I love kind of just finding the silliest things that we can do, and it gives you a lot of permission to play in rehearsals when you're trying to find stuff like that and put in things where you go, oh, we can't do that, and then you realise that you can when you get in front of an audience. So hopefully a lot of the silly stuff we put in will go down well next week.
On a personal level then, what's 2018 been like for you?
I've been at the RSC most of 2018. I was assistant director on The Fantastic Follies of Mrs. Rich, which has actually been quite a good preparation for this show, because it was sort of about a big house and a lady and serving staff, and it had these very meticulous scene changes, and it was a big broad slapstick comedy. So I've been doing that. I've directed a show for Drama Studio in London, the Drama School, which I loved. Yeah, sort of bits and pieces, and then ending up here, which is just a really lovely way to finish the year off.
And what's Christmas going to be like for you?
Well, I'm feeling very bad with the cast because my grandma's taking me to Lanzarote. So they're going to be in Lichfield doing 2 shows a day, and I'm going to be on the beach. Yeah, so thank you, Grandma. That's very nice of you. I'll have a nice time in Lanzarote.
So when you come back from there, what have you got lined up for next year?
Next year I'm directing The Tempest with the Handlebars, which we're casting for at the moment, which is very, very exciting. And that's doing a big national tour up until September. It's sort of touring all year, and going to Zimbabwe and to Germany as well, to Neus. And I'm also going back to the RSC to assist on Kunene and the King, which is a new piece of South African writing by the actor John Carney with Anthony Sher. So we're going to rehearse that in Cape Town. So it's all very, it's got a bit fancy next year. Got a good year lined up so far, and hopefully some more work with my company Bucket Club, who are now being produced by Farnham Maltings. So we're sort of making lots of schemes and trying to get a couple of projects off the ground.
With the Handlebars production, you say it's a long tour. How many times will you get actually to see that production over the several months it's running?
Well, it depends really what I'm up to. I think I'm only contractually bound to visit it twice, but I usually like to visit it a bit more than that. We're rehearsing very kindly. The RSC are helping us out with some rehearsal space, so while I'm in Stratford with Kunene and the King, we'll be starting to work on The Tempest, so that'll be really nice. And I'll actually be in South Africa at the same time that they're in Zimbabwe, so we're hoping that there can be some kind of visiting of each other, although actually looking at it, it's like, oh yeah, no, South Africa is a big country and it is a long way to Zimbabwe, but hopefully we can catch each other around then and throughout the summer. I usually go to the Fringe and crash on their sofa.
Jill, you've played Artemis Arinae before in Crimes Under the Sun. How would you describe her character?
She's a very particular Belgian lady. Everything is always exact. If you visited her office, everything would be set out. The pens would be the right way round, so you could pick them up straight away. The telephone would be in the right place. She's very particular about her look. As we've already mentioned, she's particular about her toilet, as was Hercule Poirot from the books. And she's very confident. She's a very confident woman who knows what she wants. She won't be downtrodden by the gentleman. She'll always see eye to eye with the gentleman. But is a very pleasant lady and very polite.
Have you done any research for the role?
Well, I did read a couple of the Poirot books. Specifically, the last tour that I did was Under the Sun, which was based on another of the Poirot books. But really, once you start working on Fergus's scripts for the crimes of ... it really is just a matter of how can we make it work with the characters that we have in this particular show.
So obviously you're not doing a David Suchet and staying in the role even now.
Oh no! Well, to be honest, I mean we're having so much fun in the rehearsal room that I mean I couldn't keep in role at the time. We were rolling on the floor laughing most of the time.
So it's all about the comedy, is it?
There is a lot of comedy in this. A lot of adult comedy, a lot of slapstick, a lot of silliness, but it really is. It's just great fun.
How does this one differ from Crimes Under the Sun, then?
Crimes Under the Sun, we were out on the south coast of England in a beautiful countryside, seaside place. It was a little more family-orientated, the story there. We had a lot of children coming to see this one. This is more the adult side of Christmas. We've got the fantastic panto in the main house next door, but we are where the office parties will perhaps go for an evening out rather than going for a meal. They'll come and see our show and have fun together.
It's described as a frisky, festive whodunit. So do you prefer this to the more traditional Christmas fare that's usually on offer?
Oh, myself, I love a panto. But, I mean, this is very different. My previous Christmas shows have always been pantos. And as Nell said, we went to see the main house panto the other night and had a fantastic time. But not everyone likes pantos. And it seems it's very, very popular here, our Crimes of in Lichfield for the past... This is the third year, and they've been selling really well. They've got lots of people coming back to see the shows again. Indeed, when we toured our show earlier this year and we played the main house in Lichfield, it was just felt like coming home. I'd not played here before, but it was like coming back because all the audiences that had seen the Christmas shows here previously, they were in the audience and they were there with us already, and it was a fantastic night. So I'm really looking forward to stepping out onto the stage next week, and it'll be like coming back to your friends, and we know that they're going to understand what we're trying to do and join in straight away.
So how did you get the job of Artemis Arinae in the first place?
Well, I worked for many years with a company based in Bath called the Natural Theatre Company, and Heather and Fergus, who are two lovely people that run the New Old Friends, who have the Crimes of the Christmas Pudding show. I worked with them doing various street theatre characters. We spent a long time in China, spent 4 months in China together, working in Shanghai, doing all sorts of mad characters to try and entertain the Chinese, which was quite entertaining. So Heather and Ferg and I have worked together quite a bit doing street theatre stuff, and they've very kindly brought me inside, and it's great to be dressing up and playing with them here instead.
You've done quite a bit of improvisation from what I've read about you. So do you get the chance to do that in the Crimes of series?
Well, actually, in this one, I'm a bit more of the straight woman, which is very odd for me. Around me, I have 3 other actors. There's Oliver, Laura and Stephen, and they are jumping from character to character so quickly. All different sizes of quality of comedy is coming out, and I'm the straight woman in the middle, to be honest, sort of the narrator, really, keeping it all together, but absolutely having great fun with the 3 of them.
You're from the Peak District yourself, so not too far for you to come this Christmas.
Yes, it's normally I'm away for Christmas and hardly get home, so it's nice. It's just an hour and 40 minutes up the road, and Christmas dinner will be on the table ready waiting for me, hopefully.
So it sounds like you'll be having a family Christmas this year.
Yes, it'll be nice. That's one reason for anyone who thinks it's really awful for actors to be away for Christmas, because often you'll get Christmas Day off. I always find it's great. You only get the day off, so everyone looks after you. You get back, don't have to cook the dinner, everything's ready for you, and then Boxing Day, sorry, I've got to go back to work, so bye. No washing up.
What sort of a year have you had then?
I've had a very much an Artemis Arinae year, touring with Crimes Under the Sun with New Old Friends. That started back in February all the way through to May. The summer I did a few street characters in various places around the country. I've been doing a lot of voiceovers and working on audiobooks. That's keeping the pennies coming in between the theatre acting work.
And what's lined up for next year?
Do you know? I've got no idea, but that's the great thing about this sort of work. Tomorrow I should get a phone call and something fantastic might fall into my lap, so I'll keep the phone switched on.
Crimes of the Christmas Pudding runs at Lichfield Garrick from Wednesday the 5th of December until Saturday the 5th of January.
You've been listening to a podcast from British Theatre Guide. For more information, please visit britishtheatreguide.info.